Dear Nobel laureates, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure to welcome the Nobel laureates for 2014. I will certainly outline tomorrow why the committee decided to award you the Nobel Peace Prize for 2014, so I will only say this. I think in today's world, it is extremely important that we have people, in particular that young people, have somebody to look up to and listen to. Because there are so many dark forces that can drag, in particular young people, down. And that's why I think it's so important that you two are here to express something which can unite all of us, namely to do away with the child labor and to give education to everybody. And I'm sure that it will be a great event for all of us tomorrow, and we are looking forward to that. But first of all, now I would like to give you the floor to say what you want and then to receive questions afterwards. Mr. Satyaki.
Namaste. Hello to everyone. It's my great honor and pleasure to thank the distinguished Norwegian Nobel Committee. Me and my family members reached here yesterday, and since yesterday all my colleagues and friends and relatives from India are calling, Norway is so cold, are you wearing proper clothes or not? Have you proper woolen clothes or jackets and so on? And I have been responding them that I have never seen such warmth in my life as I see in this country. And the warmth comes from ordinary people since yesterday, from the President and Secretary and other members of the committee, and especially from the children. When I saw from my window this morning, I found a number of children and teachers were standing and waiting for two of us. And I went down, and then Malala also went down, shook hands with those children, and they were so happy and warm. This prize is very important. Of course, every year Nobel Prize is important, but this is very important for millions and millions of our children who are denied their childhood, who are denied their freedom, who are denied their education and health. There are children who are sold and bought like animals. The children who are born and live in the situations of conflict and insurgencies and terror. The children who are made hostages, the children who are put to work as prostitutions, the children who are made child soldiers. This is a great honor for all of them. It is not for me alone, and I am sure that Malala will join us in accepting it, that it is for all the girls and boys in the world. Friends, even if one single child is in danger, the entire world is in danger. If one single child is uneducated, denied education, for me, the world is not completely enlightened. If one single child is in slavery, we cannot see with pride that we live in freedom. One child who is enslaved, one child who is trafficked, one child who has become child soldier, child laborer, one child, many children. Friends, this prize gives us tremendous opportunity in our fight, in our struggle, but also I feel a deep sense of moral responsibility. When we are talking here and addressing this press conference, millions of children cannot talk in freedom, cannot enjoy the freedom and smile as a child. We have to work for them. A journalist was asking yesterday, and I was just sharing with Malala and Malala's father, Zia Saab, that what is common in two of you? And I told, first of all, she's like my daughter. And I asked her, do you accept it? And she said, yes. Is it? and her father agreed. Do you agree? Yeah. So now she is going with us. And she has a mother too. And brother and sister and so on. So we all have great respect and love and adore her. She is the bravest child one can think of. She made everyone pride. And for every social worker, for every child right activist, she made pride. And I'm one of them. And I'm so lucky to receive this Peace Prize together with her. So I hope that we can make this world much more peaceful. I've been calling for one thing, and I will sum up with these few sentences, that we have to work towards peace for children and children for peace. Every child in the world must be born and free to grow in a peaceful environment, safer environment, protected environment. We have to create such a world, and all of us have to work together. We have to engage children and youth across the world to create a world which is a peaceful world. So the governments and all of us together should work to make this world a peaceful world for children, but we should also engage the children and youth all across the world. Youth have tremendous power, and we should harness that power to make this world much more peaceful. And I'm sure that at least two of us, a father and daughter duo, would work. Thank you so much.
Now I give the floor to Malala Yousafzai, please.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'm feeling really honored that I'm sitting with my father. And it is a great honor when you are sitting with a person who has been struggling for children's rights, for their freedom for a long time. And you are an inspiration not only to me but children all over the world, that they should stand up for their rights. And that is why we are here. We are not here just to accept the award and get this medal and go back home. No, we are here to tell the children especially that you need to stand up. You need to speak up for your rights. Now it is not time to wait for someone else to come and speak for you. It is you who can change the world. So you need to take a step. And I would give an example. When I was in Swat Valley and suddenly terrorism started there. Taliban came and our valley turned into a place of terrorism where there used to be suicide attacks and bomb blasts, and we could no more go to school. At that time, we decided that we will speak up. Everyone was hoping that things will change by itself, but it didn't until we spoke, until we raised our voice. And things did change. So it shows an example to the world that when you take a step, when you raise your voice, it really brings a change. So if we want to see no child out of school, then we have to speak and we have to contribute. And I'm really happy that my friends are here, Kainat, Shazia, and Kainat Somro as well. They are from Pakistan. My friends from Nigeria and from Syria are also coming, who is now a refugee, and she's now living in Jordan. So I'm really happy that they are here with me, and we all are standing together and telling the world that we are here to fight for our rights, and that it is all right to go to school. Why should it be neglected? Why are we fighting for something which we deserve? Because in this world, if we are thinking that we are modern and we have achieved so much development, then why is it that there are so many countries where children are not asking for any iPad or computer or anything else? What they're asking for is just a book and just a pen. So why can't we do that? Why can't we just give a book and a pen? Why can't we just give a school to children, which can really change their future which can really change their world. They're asking for nothing special, just a school. And that's what we are saying here today. So I'm really honored that we are here at with great people, with great people like Kailash Satyarthi, who is now my father. So, and I'm really honored.
Please show that she's not going to bed with you.
No, actually, I love my parents, and but I don't really. I have like 2 brothers as well. So I told them that like, if I knew these boys are going to be born here, I wouldn't have come into your family. So I hope that your family would be much better than that family where my brothers are. I'll just get rid of them. So thank you so much once again, and thank you to the Nobel Committee as well for highlighting children's rights issue and for giving it importance. Thank you so much.
Occasionally, the Nobel Peace Prize can transform events, but I had no idea that it could instantly transform family relationships.
This is for the first time.
Well, my name is Geir Lundestad. I'm the director of the Nobel Institute. I will be conducting the press conference. And if you want to ask a question, you just raise your hand, and I will take down your name. We have 2 microphones, 1 on each side. Don't speak before you are given the microphone. Identify yourself, and also tell us to who your question is directed. Okay, Tom Christiansen, yes.
Thank you. My name is Tom Christiansen, Norwegian Broadcasting. I have a short question for each of you. Ahtisaari, those children that has been pulled out of child work by your help, what happens to their family when the children lose their job? And to Malala, those who are fighting against education have the same faith as you. They are Muslims. Is there a connection, or have they misunderstood everything? Thank you.
Do you want to answer first?
I didn't get the question really clearly, sorry.
I'll repeat it. Those who are fighting education for children have the same faith. They are also Muslims. How can one come to so completely different conclusions based on a religion?
The lady in the 3rd row, yes, you.
My name is Elisabeth Ferro. I'm from Swedish TV4. I have a question to Kailash Satyarthi. You have been
Speak up.
You have been working for so many years to defend children's rights, and the Nobel Peace Prize is, of course, an important recognition of your work. But will it bring real change for the world's children? Do you see any change of attitude? Has this message reached the factory owners in India? And what will you do to use this opportunity?
Well, I work in almost 144 countries, but definitely more than 100 countries. Our activists are very engaged and quite dynamic. I said it several times that within an hour of the announcement of the Nobel Peace Prize, we have seen so much response and attention and interest and concern from all over the world and from my own country, which I have not seen in all my life. And I can say with full authority that within a day, so much attention has been given to the cause of children, not just because of me, but also because of Malala, which has never been in the history. Almost every big newspapers and even smaller vernacular media people published it in the front page. So the issues of children, most invisible children, came to the knowledge of the people. That is the beginning. And I always say that the consciousness is the beginning of change. The consciousness is the beginning of transformation. And that has begun immediately after the announcement. That is the most important part. On practical aspects, we have received thousands of mails from people all across. The young people, the college students, the university students, even the young children from the secondary primary schools, they are writing very simple things, that what we can do in our classroom, what we can do in our neighborhood, in the country. So that is quite amazing. In India, for instance, last week only, the Supreme Court of India, the Chief Justice of India has made a history, I would say, that for the first time, the Supreme Court has announced to set up a special bench to deal with the issues of children and women, those who are facing the social injustices issue. And that bench will meet every week, every Saturday, every Friday. And because it is very, very difficult, rather impossible for a poor person to think that one can get justice from the highest court of the land. Very expensive and time consuming. But this bench will be set up, has already been set up, which will meet this Friday and the coming Fridays and Fridays. So that is very important for us. And that judgment has been delivered in my Indian organization's matter, Bachpan Bachao Andolan's matter, and it has been a great tribute to our work. So many things are happening. Many young parliament members are rising up and they are saying that they wanted to do something in terms of the legal changes, in terms of more budgetary allocations for the cause of education for children and especially for the girls. So the things like that are happening, started happening, and I'm sure that it will go a long way. And I told actually this morning also to Malala that, look, I'm 60-year-old and you are 17-year-old. Yeah, little bit more than 16, little bit more than 17, more than 60. And I feel that I have at least 17 years to work for my cause with all my passion and my power. Maybe more, but definitely 17 years. That is her age. And she will have to work for at least 60 years. That is equivalent to my age, with all the passion and courage and commitment as she has been doing so far. Is it?
Good, definitely.
Good.
We will end at no later than 1:45, and we have a very long list of questions, so we will not be able to take all questions. But if we keep the questions brief and maybe even some of the answers a little briefer, we can cover more.
Yeah.
You are next. Yes, you. You're on the list.
I have one question for Malala Yousafzai first. Some people will say that accepting the Nobel Peace Prize... No, I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Gunhild Bjerve from the Norwegian news agency, NTB. Well, some people will say that receiving the Nobel Peace Prize is too great a burden for a young person. How will the expectations affect your ability to make decisions and have freedom of choosing your future? And if I can have the freedom of asking a question for Mrs. Satyarthi as well. You have talked about the responsibility of Indian people and of businesses of ending child labor. What about the consumers in the West, in Norway? We love our cheap clothes and our cheap consumer goods.
Thank you. So, when the Nobel Peace Prize was announced, yes, I did get this response from people that it might be a big burden on you and now you would feel more pressure. But I think I was already feeling this pressure right from the beginning when I committed to myself, when I promised myself that I'm going to fight for children's rights and I'm going to make sure that every child goes to school and get quality education. And in my life, I feel answerable. I feel that I'm answerable to God and then to myself as well. Because even if people ask me or not, but I will ask one day from myself that, Malala, you have spent your life, what have you done? Have you fulfilled your promises or not? So if it's I would ask myself, and I feel that I am answerable to myself, so I'll continue this. And this Nobel Peace Prize, it seems like a pressure, but it's not pressure, it's strength and it's encouragement. I feel much stronger now that now I'm not alone, we are all together. My friends are here, Kailash Satyarthi and the Nobel Committee and the world leaders. We all are going to stand up for education, and a change is coming. It gives me big hope.
I forgot. I was so deeply involved in listening to her. Yeah.
Whether Norwegian consumers also
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So the consumers have to play a very important role. Their consciousness, their concern, their action, and their power is vital in the fight against child labor in the world. But I won't prescribe this solution as the blanket boycott of goods or the blanket ban on the goods. This is not going to solve the problem, because eventually people have to use those things. But what consumers can do can definitely demand to the shopkeepers, and the shopkeepers will put it to others in the full chain. But one can demand that we want to buy a shoe or a cloth or a shirt or a football or a toy which should be guaranteed of being free of child labor, free of child slavery, free of child trafficking, and so on. Even it should be environmental friendly, and it should be workers friendly, not just simply child labor, but the decent work for adult workers is equally important, and equally important is the environmental standards. So the consumers must ask these questions every time, and that is possible. So eventually the consumers and the industry both can work in hand in finding the solution to a common problem, and I am sure that it is possible. And it has happened in many cases, like in case of carpet industry. 15-20 years ago, the number of child laborers in South Asian carpet industry was more than 1 million. And the same sources now says that the number of child labor in this industry in Pakistan, India and Bangladesh have come down to 250,000. So from 1 million to 250,000 was possible due to consumers' action, due to direct actions, legal actions, combination of several strategies, education of course, but more importantly, we were able to find solutions through the industry, and that is social labeling, monitoring, social certification, voluntary certifications. These things had happened in three countries together, and I'm proud that it is possible in other things.
Yes? Yes, you're next.
Hubertus Hoffmann, World Security Network from Berlin, Germany. To both laureates on the education side, could you be so kind to summarize from your different perspectives and your work how to promote more tolerance, respect towards women, children, ethnic minorities and races globally? What would be your message, basically how to do it, and the essence, how to tell the people?
Is it for me?
For both of
us? I think it's important that first of all, we talk about education, that every child should go to school, but then it's important that what kind of education are we giving to children. So sometimes we see that children are in their school, but when you open their books, the things that are written in their books are totally racist, or they always have a negative response to other religions or other cultures. So I think we also need to look at the education system, what kind of system is there, what we teach our children. So it's very important that we focus on this, and we say, okay, every child should go to school, but what kind of education should they get, and what we call the quality education, is it the quality education or not? So that's very important. And as well as, I think everyone can play a role in it, not just the books, but as well as the media, what the child hears in the news, on the TV or in the newspaper or in the magazine, what do we show? If we show that woman is just a toy and she's supposed to be in fashion and she's supposed to look slim, she's supposed to look smart, then every girl would think like, why am I not looking like that perfect woman? So when we create such feelings, and when we give this message that the perfect woman is the one who's really slim. So I think everyone has to contribute in this big campaign. Change wouldn't come just by one person. Sometimes we think that it's just the politicians who can do everything, or it's just the big companies which can do everything. No, it's we all have to step forward, and we all have to play our role. And the parents, of course, they should tell their children that you all are equal, no matter what your religion is, what language do you speak, you all are equal, you all are children.
Yeah. So, I don't want to take more time because Malala has already answered the first part of my answer, so that's great. Education, it begins from education. And the second thing is definitely two more things. One is that how we can engage the faith leaders and institutions, the religious leaders all across the world for the cause of children, to build more respect, mutual respect, friendship, sisterhood, tolerance, etc. They can play an important role because their outreach is much more than many of us or many of the big organizations in the world. So I would definitely urge all the religious leaders in the world and all the religious institutions in the world that if you really wanted to worship the God and wanted to see a better world, begin with the children. Begin with the children.
Okay, yes, in the very back, in the corner. Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
मेरा सवाल हिंदी में होगा। मैं क्षमा चाहूँगा जो लोग यहाँ पर हैं, क्योंकि दो ऐसे लोग जिनको मैं इस वक्त अपने मंच पे देख रहा हूँ, एक हिंदुस्तान से हैं और दूसरा पाकिस्तान से, और मैं दो देशों के प्रतिनिधियों को देख रहा हूँ यहाँ। तमाम तरह के अलग अलग सवाल हुए, तमाम अलग अलग सवाल आपसे पूछे गए। मेरा सवाल सिर्फ इतना है, आप अपने अपने देश में जो लोग भी हैं जिनके लिए आप काम कर रहे हैं, बच्चों के लिए काम कर रहे हैं, महिलाओं के लिए काम कर रहे हैं, आप अपने देश के लिए क्या कहना चाहेंगे? मलाला हिंदुस्तान के लिए क्या कहना चाहेंगे और कैलाश जी आप पाकिस्तान के लिए क्या कहना चाहेंगे? बस यही मेरा सवाल है।
Could somebody translate the question?
I will do it. He says that two of you come from different countries, Pakistan and India, and you represent two very important countries. And what is your message to the children of your individual countries?
So, my message to India is that
उर्दू बोल दीजिए, हाँ उर्दू बोल दीजिए।
सर ठीक है।
हाँ। ताकि हिंदुस्तान
we'll answer in Hindi।
हमारे देश में ये मैसेज पूरा टेलीविजन पे।
हाँ जी।
ठीक है। तो मेरा पैगाम यही है कि हर एक बच्चा जो है उसको आला तालीम मिले, और पाकिस्तान और इंडिया में ये मसला बहुत ज़्यादा है क्योंकि वहाँ की एक बहुत बड़ी तादाद जो है बच्चों की वो तालीम से महरूम है। और हम देख रहे हैं कि कुछ लोग जो है अभी उठ खड़े हो रहे हैं, और हिंदुस्तान के लिए तो मैसेज बिल्कुल सिंपल है, वो ये है कि आपके पास कैलाश सत्यार्थी है, आपको किसी गम की ज़रूरत नहीं है। आप सबको बस उठ खड़ा होना होगा, आपको अपनी आवाज़ उठानी होगी और आपको ख़ुद पे यकीन करना होगा, क्योंकि जब आप ख़ुद पे यकीन करते हैं, जब आप आगे जाते हैं, तभी तब्दीली आती है। तो इंडिया की कामयाबी ही बच्चों में है, बच्चों की तालीम में है। इंडिया इंशाल्लाह कामयाब होगा जब बच्चों को आला तालीम मिलेगी, और दोनों ममालिक के बच्चे जब आला तालीम हासिल करेंगे तो उन दोनों ममालिक के दरमियान जो है यानी ताल्लुकात भी अच्छे होंगे। अगर हम बच्चों को सिखाएंगे कि बर्दाश्त क्या है, सब्र क्या है और अमन क्या होता है, तो इंशाल्लाह दोनों ममालिक के दरमियान बहुत अच्छे रिश्ते होंगे और हम फिर से भाई भाई होंगे।
शुक्रिया। मैं मलाला से थोड़ा अलग ये बात बोलूँगा, क्योंकि मैं बच्चे तो बच्चों को पैगाम दे सकते हैं, इसलिए मलाला ने दे दिया, लेकिन मैं पैगाम देने के बजाय कोशिश करूँगा पाकिस्तान में भी और इंडिया में भी और दूसरी जगह भी कि कैसे हमारे युवा, हमारे यूथ और हमारे बच्चे अमन के रास्ते पर साथ साथ मिलकर चल सकें। क्योंकि अमन कोई ऐसी चीज़ नहीं है जो टेबल पर बैठ के नेगोशिएट की जाए और वो सस्टेनेबल हो जाए। अमन कोई ऐसी चीज़ नहीं है जो सिर्फ आप मंदिरों मस्जिदों से पढ़ा दें और वो सस्टेनेबल हो जाए। अमन हर बच्चे का इंसानी हुकूक है, हर बच्चे का मौलिक अधिकार है, एक फंडामेंटल राइट है। हर बच्चे को इस हक़ में पैदा होना चाहिए, और ये एहसास हमारे युवाओं को होना चाहिए कि हम इज़्ज़त के साथ, हम आज़ादी के साथ, हम अच्छी पढ़ाई के साथ और हम अमन के साथ ज़िंदगी बिताना चाहते हैं। और इस रास्ते में कोई भी रुकावट आएगी, हिंदुस्तान पाकिस्तान के नौजवान मलाला जैसी बेटियों के लीडरशिप में, नेतृत्व में, और सारी दुनिया के बच्चे, न केवल इन दो मुल्कों के अमन के रास्ते को और मजबूत करेंगे और हम लोग ऐसा कर पाएंगे इंशाल्लाह।
We should of course have translated, but then time will expire. Yes, it's you in the back there.
आप चाहती हैं कि दोनों ही मुल्कों के प्रधानमंत्री इस अवार्ड सेरेमनी में शरीक रहें, तो क्या आपको कोई कॉन्फर्मेशन मिली है? और कैलाश जी, आपसे ये कि मोदी जी से आपकी मुलाकात हुई थी अवार्ड मिलने के बाद, क्या आपने मलाला का ये पैगाम उन तक पहुंचाया? और क्या आपको थोड़ी सी निराशा जरूर हुई कि वहाँ के दोनों मुल्कों के पॉलिटिशियंस यहाँ मौजूद नहीं हैं आपके इस अवार्ड सेरेमनी में?
And the question is, could somebody tell us what the question is?
Yeah, she couldn't understand.
Yes. The question for me was that you invited both the Prime Ministers of Pakistan and India, and have you received any confirmation? Are they coming or not? So that was the question for me.
And what did I do with my Prime Minister in India? That was the question to me.
Okay.
Did I pass on the Malala's message to the Prime Minister of India? So please.
Yes, so it was my wish that the Prime Ministers of both the... ये मेरी ख्वाहिश थी कि दोनों ममालिक की वज़राए आज़म जो है वो आ जाए, और ये बहुत ही बड़ी इज़्ज़त की बात होगी कि दोनों ममालिक के जो वज़ीर आज़म है वो साथ खड़े हो, अमन की बात हो। और हमने हमेशा ही अमन के लिए बात की, और हम चाहते हैं कि दोनों ममालिक के दरमियान अमन हो, क्योंकि इसी ही में दोनों ममालिक की तरक्की का राज है, और इसी तरह ही हम कामयाब हो सकते हैं। तो मुझे तो अभी तक कंफर्मेशन नहीं मिली, और इवेंट कल है, तो इसका मतलब ये है कि कोई पॉजिटिव रिस्पांस नहीं आया है। यानी मेरी तो एक छोटी सी रिक्वेस्ट थी, वो तो टोटली उन पर डिपेंड करता था कि वो एक्सेप्ट करते या ना करते, या ये कम से कम ये कहना कि हम नहीं आ सकते। तो मुझे यानी कोई रिस्पांस नहीं मिला है, ना नेगेटिव ना पॉजिटिव, कोई भी नहीं मिला है।
देखिए, इससे पहले कि मैं हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर से मिलता, मलाला का पैगाम तो सारे हिंदुस्तान के और दुनिया के अखबारों में छप चुका था, पैगाम तो पहुंच ही चुका था। और मलाला को भारत में लोग बहुत जानते हैं, जितना पाकिस्तान में जानते हैं, इंडिया में भी लोग मलाला को बहुत जानते हैं और प्यार और इज्जत भी करते हैं। हमसे कई गुना ज़्यादा जानते हैं, मैं तो कहूँगा मुझसे 1000 गुना ज़्यादा जानते हैं इंडिया में लोग। देखिए मैं the simple thing is that Malala was expecting, but she said that there is no response yet, so probably the Prime Ministers are not coming. I am saying that this message has already been delivered to everyone through the media, even before I met India's Prime Minister. So it was up to them. But for me, as I said before, that the more important thing for me is the peoples-to-people relationship between India and Pakistan. The more important for me is the trust and friendship between two countries, people. For sustainable peace, it is important that the people should love and respect each other and try to listen to each other. More frequently, they can move and talk to each other and meet each other. And I've been going to Pakistan for so many years, for 25 years or so. And I see no difference in the people. People are so loving and so caring and so good. I feel like they are my family members.
Well, we are rapidly running out of time. Most of the questions will remain unanswered, but the final question, yes, to the gentleman in the second row. You. Speak up.
If the leaders were here, what would you have them say to each other? What would you say to them? I wonder how much of a missed opportunity it is that they're not here.
Well, it would have been a great honor for me if both the leaders and the Prime Minister would have come here, because we have always tried to see good relationships between Pakistan and India, and we strongly believe that for the development of both the countries, it is important that they have strong relationships. And we were like once one country, one nation, and there should be no discrimination or there should be no hate based on in the name of religion or just the language you speak. We believe that we all are people, we all are human beings, and we are like any other country, like countries do have borders, but it does not mean that they should then hate each other. So if the Prime Minister would have come here, I would have been very happy, and I would have thought of it as a big opportunity to ask them to have good relationships and to make education together their top priority and work on it together, because we see that the number of children who are out of school are mostly in India and Pakistan. The number of children who are suffering from child labor are mostly in Pakistan and India. So these are the two countries where children are really affected and where children need focus. So I would have asked both of them to focus on education and to make it their top priority and work together.